Welcome to Ask When, everyone. I have the amazing honor of interviewing Natajia. And guess what, you guys? She's calling in from the Bahamas, of all places. And the reason why I have Natajia on is to talk about something that's near to my heart, diversity and education. And Natajia grew up in the Bahamas. And for those of you who are just getting exposed to me and my story now, my biological mom grew up in Nassau. So I spent, I don't know how many years trying, and so did my family. Geez, we all spent so many years trying to help the Bahamian culture. And so, even though I'm white, I have that Bahamian influence in me, and go Bahamians go. And you're gonna get a kick out of this conversation today, and I hope you guys learned something from Natasha and I, and me speaking about my second home country and what I saw down there. And since we can't travel right there, you might as well travel vicariously. And so I am super excited. And Natasha, I'll let you take it away.
Alrighty. So first of all, hi everybody. So happy to be here, and thank you so much, Win. I'm so happy that we connected and we were able to do this together. When I saw that you were a fellow Bahamian, I'm like,
Yay! You
yay!
don't find a fellow Bahamian. You, even though I'm second generation, you don't find a fellow Bahamian that.
Yeah, seriously, it's not that there's less than 500,000 of us in the entire
Yeah,
world.
yeah, exactly.
So to
So
come by, I was like,
exactly.
yay! So I'm always
Yay.
excited. Like even when I travel and then like if I'm on the other side of the world somewhere and there's like a Bahamian accent, I'm like, where are you from? And they're like, oh, I'm from Nassau. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
what? I'm from
You
Cuba.
guys, I can recognize the Bahamian accent in 2 seconds flat. It's like when you can recognize what you,
Yeah.
I can have people translate. Like to me,
Mm-hmm.
you and I talking, it's like
Mm-hmm.
I can understand what
Mm-hmm.
you are saying to me. It's like
Mm-hmm.
being sitting in the Bahamas right
Yeah.
now. The And by the way, you guys, you fly in to Nassau, and Nassau is a third world country like there was no tomorrow. So that's why Natasha and I are having this conversation today, because of Black Lives Matter and because of everything that's going on. So,
Mm-hmm.
Natasha, where would you like to start in the educational diversity aspect?
Wherever is good for you. Like you mentioned, Black Lives Matter. There's so much going on surrounding that right now. In
Well,
the hmm?
I would like to start with, what would you like to say to my audience about Black Lives Matter? I mean, you're sitting in what I believe and what I've personally seen, one of the most poorest, corrupt, and corrupt is public. The Bahamas is very corrupt, and it's unbelievable. And they don't necessarily have the resources we do in the US, unfortunately. And when it comes to disabilities, that's another whole story in itself. And so let's dive deep here. Let's talk about Black Lives Matter and what your fellow Bahamians, and including me, and what people should do versus what they should not do?
Yeah, of course. So I'll take this question in two parts. I'll first start about the Bahamas. You will be happy to know, when that we've developed a lot over the last few years. So we kind of see some of where the money is going, especially after Dorian. Like after Hurricane Dorian, we received so many gracious donations and
Yeah.
everything like that. So like our airport now, it's like 5-star, maybe
Yeah.
not 5-star yet, but like, the
So I've been
infrastructure
told.
you go
So
around.
I've been told. I've
Yeah,
been
like
told
it's really, we're
that.
getting there, little by little. So our economy is, right now it's not a good time to talk about the economy, but overall the economy has been getting better. Like I said, lots of new roads, good roads, infrastructure. Of course, you remember the potholes that are everywhere. They're still
Yes.
there. They're
Yes,
still
I
there.
remember the potholes that are
Yes.
everywhere.
Yes.
Jeez. It's like,
Yeah, but you see some improvement. Like if I was in Nassau 10 years ago versus today, I'd say, oh wow, I can see that there has been some improvement in the infrastructure,
yeah.
and we're starting to look more like, like I wouldn't say a first world country, but we're looking better. Let me put it that way. So
Well,
that's the good thing.
that makes me feel better as a
Yeah.
fellow white Bahamian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, definitely,
that
definitely.
it
I,
makes me feel better because the last time I was down there,
mhm,
unfortunately, was in 2009, and I haven't
mhm.
been down there since.
Yeah.
I want to go back,
Yeah.
I want to go back, and so, but I just thought when I left in
Mhm,
2009, I thought I was going to be back, and
mhm.
when my mom passed away, and that
Oh,
is a whole story in itself.
mhm,
But when I left in 2009, I'm like,
mhm,
okay, I need to somehow put boots on the ground in the Bahamas
mhm,
to not
mhm,
only help the economy, but help
mhm.
the education system.
Yeah, definitely. And right now, like I said, after Hurricane Dorian, thank God, because I know like a lot of people feel that after that hurricane, the entire Bahamas was totally messed up. But
Yeah.
we're grateful because that's not the case. There were two islands, actually, Abaco and
The
Grand Bahama,
Apple
that were, yes,
and
that were
Grand
like really
Bahama.
severely hit. Yeah, so they're still like, I think on the first was like the anniversary of the hurricane, and they're still trying to get back on their feet. So definitely boots on the ground are needed there. And like I said, we're grateful because we've had a lot of international assistance for that. But there are people that still don't have jobs since then, and coronavirus is not helpful for us right now at all.
Coronavirus, no,
Not at all.
no,
You know.
coronavirus, no, because one of the big things I'll tell you guys
Mm-hmm.
is that the Bahamas is a tax haven country,
Mm-hmm.
and our and I say us, our biggest tourist tax in the Bahamas is tourist tax.
Yes.
So every time you leave Parsons Pinley International Airport, and they charge you. They charge you, I think, depending on how many people on your parties, they want their cash before you
Mm-hmm.
leave. And and that's how the Bahamas survives. The Bahamas
Mm-hmm.
survives because it's a tax haven country,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's a tax haven country. So you guys have to survive somehow.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. And another update, when we used to be that lovely country where you go with no tax, and now we have 12% VAT. It's
Okay,
crazy.
okay.
It's crazy.
Well, we're
Like,
we're getting up there. We're getting up
yeah,
there. So
yeah,
I got taught on my second home country. Now I
yeah.
can't say it's a tax haven country anymore. Now I
I
can't
know
say
so much
it's a
has
tax haven
changed. So
country.
much has changed since you left home. That's
Yeah,
why you have to come back to see
yeah,
all the
that's why I
changes.
have to come back. I have to
Definitely.
come back
Definitely,
because
but I'm happy that I told you, because you would come back and it'll be like, okay, that'll be $1.12, Mom. And they're like, what? what is this? Where did this come
What?
from? You know?
Yeah. What?
So I'm happy we had
I
this
feel like,
conversation.
oh my goodness. No.
Yeah, but you're right though when you talk about the fact that tourism is what we strive on. Like everybody, like
Yeah.
for example, you know, like for me, for example, my mom has a travel company here and that's where I work.
Yeah.
And for the last 5 months, since April 1st, we were open for only 1 month. And that is like the case for most people here. Like the large hotels are closed. So you have more than half, probably like 60 to 75% of the country out of a job. Because
Out
even
of,
if,
yeah, out of
yeah,
a
it's
job.
crazy. Out of a job because of coronavirus and, you know, like the different governmental stipulations and everything like that, there's no tourists coming in really. Like I think right now, as you're listening to this podcast audience, right now there's like a 2 week period where you have to quarantine when you come to the
Yeah.
Bahamas. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know, like if you were coming on vacation, do you want to quarantine for 2 weeks?
Well, since it's my home country
Yeah.
and I'm a beach baby, yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
but I am not the typical tourist. I
Yes.
know, I know, and of course I wouldn't wear a mask, and of course
Yes.
I would
Yes.
do all.
Yeah.
I'm not the typical tourist, but the typical tourist would
Mm-hmm.
say, "No way." Me, I would
Exactly.
say yes because
Yeah.
I love the Bahamas. I
Yes.
still
You're a
love the
home
Bahamas.
baby.
So it's my home. It's where
Yes.
I spent, well, I spent here, which is Aspen, Colorado,
Mm-hmm.
and back in the forest in between the Bahamas and Florida. I didn't see what they call a white Christmas until I was 23 years old
I
because my
know.
white Christmas
Mm-hmm.
involved palm trees and
Yes.
beaches.
Oh
And
my God.
so, and Santa showing up on a boat. Yes, I said
Yeah.
Santa showing up on a boat. And
Yeah.
so, um, when I got back to the US and after my mom died and had to
Mm-hmm.
spend the Christmas in the US, I'm like, what is this white stuff called still? I'm used to white stuff on Christmas morning called
Yeah.
sand.
Yeah. That's about all you get
Yeah,
here. No snow for
that's
us.
what I was used to, and I'm like,
Mhm.
so you put on a jacket. I'm used to put it on a bathing suit and walk
Yeah.
around, and no, I'm not used to. And a lot of people said, "What? You haven't experienced quote unquote white Christmas?" No,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
when my mom was dying, I was lucky enough to have one of my grandmother's nurses
Mm-hmm.
fly out
Oh.
here and help me. And one of the things she goes, "When I have not seen snow, so don't, yeah, that's gonna be a little bit of a new experience, and
Yeah.
I have not driven over a pass yet.
Yeah.
So, that's gonna
Seriously.
be a little new experience, but I'm like, "Okay," because
Yeah.
I am I was so used to her being in her home country
Yeah.
that her flying out here to my home country, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I knew she was gonna say, she teased me and said, I haven't seen snow and I
Yeah.
don't have a winter coat. And
Yeah.
it's funny because I people are like, what? You haven't seen snow since
Mm-hmm.
um every single year at Christmas? No, I
Mm-hmm.
would get picked up from school here, get driven
Mm-hmm.
to airport, fly
Mm-hmm.
to Atlanta, and
Mm-hmm.
fly over. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like I spent m- many hours in customs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Oh
an
man.
interesting experience in itself. Custom
Yes.
customs halls, and so yeah, and so what do you want my listeners to know about the Bahamas and Black Lives Matter?
Sure. Well, about the Bahamas, I want everybody to know that, you should come here for vacation, not because,
Yes,
not just because it's awesome. Wynn is talking about the amazing beaches and everything, but the Bahamas is so much more than just a beach experience.
yes,
Like 5 minutes from us is
exactly.
the swimming pigs. I don't know if you know about the swimming pigs,
I
Wynn.
do, I
I
do, I
thought
do. I
so.
haven't had the experience to see the
Yes.
swimming pigs, but
Yes.
yes, I
Yes.
had a family member who owned uh island own
Mm-hmm.
he owned two islands based off of Saddleback Key. So
Ah.
the swimming pigs and the
Yeah.
iguanas
Yeah.
and the yes, and
Sharks and
he used
everything.
to now he gave unfortunately he gave that company up. And
Uh,
so he used to do the run from
mm-hmm.
Paradise Island to
Mm-hmm.
Saddleback Key,
Okay.
and so I know about the. I've actually seen the iguanas, and
Nice.
they're huge, you guys.
They're
They're
huge.
huge. The iguanas are huge. The swimming
Yeah.
pigs I have heard, and I
Mm-hmm.
think I have seen the swimming pigs. And we're talking about pigs that actually swim, you guys,
Yeah.
believe
Yeah,
it or not.
definitely. So
So,
yeah, so like that's the experience in the Bahamas. Like you do that one day, and then there's an Eleuthera. What do they have in
yes,
Eleuthera? The pink
yes.
sand.
Yeah, we can't forget Alusa, the beautiful pink
Yeah,
sand. This
exactly.
sand, this sand, you guys, is literally pink. The
Literally.
sand is literally pink. When I first when I first walked on it, I'm like, pink? Really? Pink? Really?
Crazy,
And I'm
right?
like, it's nuts. And so one of my recommendations is that, and Natasha would recommend this too, is because, and the Bahamas is getting better, but I would recommend that you guys experience the out islands. Get off of Nassau when
Yes.
we're allowed to travel again. Get
Yes.
off of, even though you fly into Nassau,
Mm-hmm.
take another flight to Alusa, take another flight
Mm-hmm.
to Saddleback, take
Mm-hmm.
another flight off of Nassau. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't necessarily have to see Nassau in its whole
Yeah.
entirety because
Mm-hmm.
because even though Nassau is wonderful, I
Yes.
do recommend the out islands.
Yeah. And I couldn't agree with you more, Win. Like, especially since I'm an out islander, I was born and raised in Staniel Key, which is like a
Yes,
1 by 2 mile island, people.
yes,
2 square miles,
so
100
yeah,
people.
so
Yeah.
you know that you know I like the out island. I love
Yes.
my home country dearly. I love
Mm,
my home country, but there's only so much Nassau that I could take.
yeah, I know. Because it's a totally different experience, like when you were talking about how it used to be back then,
Yeah,
how it was so poor and corrupt. Like the out island was like my island. I live in Stanilki Exum, and it was never like that. Like
yeah,
I can
no.
go outside and leave my door
You
open
can
for
go
the whole
outside
day.
and you can go outside and leave your door open. No,
Yeah,
in Nassau you can't, and
no,
yeah.
yeah. So
So
it's like out
what
island.
are we doing as far as the education system? Because I think that I think number one, I think that Bahamians should be a little more aware of the disabled. Trust me,
Mm-hmm.
I want to
You're
put
right.
boots on the ground and
You're right.
go into that. And so, but I want to know from you what
Mm-hmm.
we can do to help the Bahamian country and not be so Black Lives Matter
Mm-hmm.
and all lives matter. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to forget about my home country. I mean,
Yes.
my second home, even though my home country is the US,
Mm-hmm.
Bahamas is my second home country.
For sure.
And I don't want to forget about my second home country And
Mm-hmm.
so, how could we make it so that we all kind to one another?
Mm-hmm.
My big thing is let's be kind to one another.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, so first let's start with the education portion. Again, education is another area where I've seen that there's been some expansions. Like I'm thinking back from 2009 until now.
Yeah,
As you know, being a small nation, of course, we don't have the same type of infrastructure or the same
no,
opportunities as you may have in the US. But I do see that there is an improvement, and a lot of Bahamians, some Bahamians, let me not say a lot, several Bahamians have the opportunity to go to university in
yeah,
the US. So we get to take advantage of that.
yeah.
But another update when, College of the Bahamas, COB,
Yes,
is now
yes.
University of the Bahamas.
Okay, we're making progress. We're
We
making
are.
progress.
We're making progress, and they've added more. Like, there's more classes available. There's more high level types of
Yes,
availability for learning. So
yes,
UB, because they don't call it COB anymore, they call it UB now. And a lot of my cousins, a lot of my family members, friends have graduated from there, and the level of education that they're getting is vastly improved. You know what I mean? So a
yeah,
lot of the money that came from that, I would hope. I can't say for sure because I don't look at their expenditure report, but I would hope that that's what went into building COB up. And
I
we
would
have like,
hope that
yes,
too. I would
yes,
hope that too.
exactly,
As a
exactly.
retired educator, when I retired in the US, I'm
Hmm.
like, I need to get back to my second home
You
country.
should.
And
You should. You
um,
need to come so I can give you like a tour. And be like,
I,
this is
yeah, of
this is
what's
this. Look at this
changed,
is
of
UB.
what's
This is
changed
Rizumaki.
because no, since I've been down there and my family came out to see me and
Hmm.
said they said, well, would you be able to scan your passport
Hmm.
in a scanner
Hmm.
now and
Hmm.
travel? And I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Yep.
This
Trust
is
me.
at
It's
the
like,
airport too. And I'm
yeah.
like, what? I just looked at I just looked at them like you guys are nuts. You guys are nuts. I'm used to handing a passport off to someone and yeah, but and yes,
Yeah.
you do need a passport, you guys, if you want to go
Yeah.
experience mom. Is you're not getting
Yes.
away with ID. Unfortunately, you need a passport for most
Yeah.
people now, but
Yeah, exactly.
it's
No
changing.
visa, but definitely a passport.
Yeah, yeah, no visa, but definitely a passport. And
Yeah,
so the education system is improving. That
it
makes
is
me very,
improving.
very happy.
That
And
I'm happy to make you happy,
uh,
Win. I'm happy that I'm happy that I have so many good updates
yeah,
for you right
good
now. You know what I
updates.
mean?
Good
Yeah.
updates because
Yeah.
I am happy that I'm happy that I brought you on to talk about educational diversity because
Yes.
I'm sure when Black Lives Matter um, hit, you were like, "What?"
Hmm.
You were like, "What?" I was,
Yeah.
and a lot of people don't know
Yeah.
this, but I spent many, many years in the Bahamas. I still have different cultures around me today. And I'm like, when Black Lives
Hmm.
Matter hit, it made me angry as a journalist because I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
you don't treat the Bahamians like that. You don't treat anyone
Hmm.
like that. So it just,
Anyone.
yeah, anyone. No, it just made me
Exactly.
angry.
Exactly. You're absolutely right. And you know what's so interesting? Like okay, the Bahamas, I'm gonna be completely honest.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you.
go,
Okay, wait, I'm gonna
go.
tell you, I'm gonna tell your audience. I was, as I said, born and raised in the Bahamas, but I went to university in the US, right? So did my undergrad in
Yeah,
Miami and my master's in Georgia.
yeah,
And it made me I have never experienced racism inside the Bahamas, and it wasn't until I went to Georgia that I experienced it firsthand. You know what I mean? So I am grateful that, there's a lot that's wrong with our country. Don't get me wrong. Racism does exist in the Bahamas. We've had,
yeah,
like, especially during this pandemic, we start to see it come out where we have people that own businesses that say, oh, like, for example, we have a lot of people and a little bit of groceries kind of thing. Like everybody
Yeah.
wants to go to the store and
Yes,
get
I
groceries.
know. I
That's how
know.
people. That's the thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Actually, there is enough groceries for everybody, but when the prime minister tells you, okay, you can only shop on these 3 days, and everybody's like,
Yeah.
oh my god, I need to get
Yeah.
cereal. So
It's
there was one
it's
grocery
like that
store.
in the US too, trust me.
Yeah,
It's like that
you
in the
know.
US. I know.
Same thing. So we had one store that basically said that they would prefer to have non-local, like basically non-black Bahamians to shop for, like to shop after the other people. They said that the black Bahamians, they don't want them in the
What?
store. Exactly. So we do experience
What?
racism on that level. Can you
Ye
imagine?
that makes me angry. That makes
Imagine.
me sad.
Me
That
too.
I I am about to. I need to put boots on the ground.
Yeah,
need to come back down, and I need
you
to
do
put
need to.
boots on the ground because I'm like, okay, this is
Yeah,
crazy.
it
This is
is.
crazy.
It is. But you know, the good thing, the reason that I was telling that story is because even though that's annoying, and like you, when I'm like totally like angry, like, how dare you
Yeah,
say something like that?
yeah,
But the good thing is that actually, even though that's really annoying and really sad, at least unlike some parts of the US, we won't get killed for being black here.
no,
Like, that's something that won't happen. I
no,
highly doubt that. So I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful also that, as far as policing, because most of our policemen are black anyway, so we don't
yeah.
have that issue where it's like you get racial profiling. When I was in school in Georgia, when I was arrested twice. Twice.
I I could only imagine. I could
Yeah.
only imagine.
Yeah.
I
So,
could only imagine because the self is the self is a
hmm
self, and it's
hmm
like, okay, take me home
yes,
now, and
exactly.
me just experiencing Florida, just
hmm
the I I actually at points in my life I actually felt safer in your airport than I
hmm
did in Miami
Trust me, I
International
know.
Airport. I hate that airport. I
I
still
know.
do.
It is. It's
I
a
avoid
crazy
I
airport.
avoid I don't avoid Atlanta. I avoid Miami. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. And
Yeah.
I was actually given it twice. I was actually had the opportunity to go through to go to Florida once in
hmm
October and once before the pandemic hit in March. And we landed up flying from Denver to Orlando, and
hmm
then we landed up flying um, back to. We landed up flying back to Denver, but in October, when I looked at the itinerary, I'm like, no, I'm not flying
Yeah.
in into Miami. Miami
Miami.
just scares me half to death. And that's
Oh.
because I did it in the 90s. And
Uh-huh.
so, yeah, but do you have any questions for me as we wrap this interview up?
Yeah, definitely. So I have actually had several questions, but because we're gonna wrap up, I just want to ask, because you mentioned something that's really important when we talk about education, and education as far as disability goes. So I would love you to talk about that and your experience with that, and what do you think that the Bahamas could do to better bring awareness to that, because I think that's a really important point.
Oh boy. Oh boy. We may have to do a second episode, you and I, about all about disabilities, and you may have
Mhm.
to interview me as
Yeah.
the disability expert here because I tried, and a lot of people don't know this, but now they do. I tried back in the 90s
hmm
to go um, with my family into the depths of the Bahamas education system.
hmm
And for those of you that don't know, the we have in the U.S., the Americans with Disabilities
Yes,
Act,
ADA. Yeah.
um, which is kind of icky, kind
Mm,
of not existent. But in the Bahamas, their version of the Americans with Disabilities Act is still sitting in Queen Majesty's Court, and it drives me crazy, and
mm,
it drives me nuts
mm-hmm,
because you don't see a handicapped parking spot for the Bahamians. Gee,
mm-hmm,
you don't see that, eh, rightly so. But um, but one thing I think they can do is, first of all, get the their version of the Americans with Disabilities Act out of the
mm-hmm,
court system. People know that, and
mm-hmm,
give people with disabilities jobs, 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 make them contributing members to society, because
love
that's
it.
going to help, and that's going to help the Bahamas University, because
Mm-hmm,
they can, and I could even help with this too. Distance
mm-hmm,
learning. I mean, I could even, I mean, if you give a person a job and send them back to university in their own country, and then they can
mm-hmm.
be an equal member of society.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you so much. That's great insight. I would love to continue to talk about this, but like you said,
Yeah.
wrapping up. So I just want to say thank you, Win.
Well,
It was
you're
such a good
welcome.
time talking with
And
you.
we have to do it. We have to do it another time. I'm dead serious. Maybe you can come on and interview me, because I had
Definitely.
great time with you. And Natasha,
Same
where
here.
can people find you, and where can people nicely stalk you?
Okay, of course. Well, you know what? Usually I give my own stuff about because I'm doing like the allyship and Black Lives Matters and
Yeah.
everything. But right now, when how we're talking, it's the most important thing that I think I would love your listeners to do is when they're planning vacation again, consider the Bahamas. The number
And
one thing you can do is consider us for your vacation.
consider
People have
the
been jobs for
Bahamas
5 months.
and put the economy back
Exactly.
in the Bahamas,
Exactly.
and worry about Black Lives Matter, because
Yes.
if you empower, and this
Mm-hmm.
is something I was going to say, if you empower a Black person, then we won't
Mm-hmm.
have Black Lives Matter. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. And that will
Exactly.
be the end of my soapbox, because I can get on a soapbox, because this is
Definitely.
my home. This is my
I know.
country that we're talking about.
I
So
know.
I appreciate it, and I would love to have you back. We'll set that up offline,
Yes.
and I would love to be interviewed by you about
Sounds good.
how I feel about this all stuff. But be kind to other
Mm-hmm.
people, you guys. Be
Mm-hmm.
kind to
Please
other
do.
people. And so I will catch you guys later. And I hope you guys enjoyed this interview with Natasha. Thanks, you
Same
guys.
here. Thank you guys. Take care.